decide I'd make a change? Was there a moment or a day, or was it after the bowl game, or?
It was through a time after the bowl game sometime, as I kind of reflected, looked back on it, and then as I was, frankly, probably decided after watching the film of the game. So I went through a whole process, and you can imagine how hard that was for me with the relationship with Mark over time and a long time. So, but I just came to the conclusion for the reasons that I gave in there. I just thought this change would be good.
What did you see on film in particular that troubled you?
Some of the things that we had kind of earmarked as things that needed to be changed from a year ago were the same things I saw we had some issues with in the game.
How much?
And that isn't all of it. But it put a little bit of a exclamation point on it, I guess.
When you look at the long term, do you think your personnel might fit a 3-4 better, just with the lack of defensive end type edge rushers you currently have on the roster?
I think that I've actually been looking at our team like that through the year, just watching us practice and thinking, Freedom might be this good short side field outside linebacker in a 3-4 D. And he'll probably play end, but I've been looking at it like that. And then it's funny that Bob brought up kind of the early days of my first coaching where I was actually had a job was in the 5-2 at Linfield College, but it is nothing but the 3-4, exactly the same thing. The other thing that I really think is good for a football team, and we were the only 3-4 team in the Canadian League when I joined in '83, the only 3-4 team, and I loved it for kind of different reasons than American football. It was you had a great variety of blitzes you could use out of the 3-4 in that league. But I think the other thing I really like about it is the recruitment of more linebackers, athletes. I think it's actually easier to find those guys than 4 defensive linemen. And I think what it also adds, it adds more athletes to your team. So when you look at kickoff team, punt team, all the special teams, I think you'll end up with, just more guys that are in that, 6'2", 210 to 245 range that can do lots of stuff for you. So I like that part of it, and I like the versatility in it, because as he was talking up there, you heard those answers about, how do you present problems to the offense, and that fourth rusher deal is not a small deal. When you're talking about how you're going to pick that guy up, and if you have to use a back on him, then your back doesn't get in the patterns. So all those progressions you talk about with your quarterback, look here, check it to the back. Well, he's not always there. And so there's issues in the 3-4 like that are continually out there. And I that's why I've been intrigued by doing it again. And when I found out about him, his background, and then his resume, and then listening to him, I just liked all that. So,
Mike, you said you contacted him last Wednesday or so. That was right when you announced about Baghdad. Did you know that he might be available?
Yeah,
when you make this change?
This wasn't a brand new thought as of Wednesday, nor neither the thought about Mark, nor the thought about Bob. There's some background to that, and
Sure.
Some of you reached out to me, and I didn't respond because there was a ton going on fast. And so I got him. I stopped the plane and got him right off before he went home after his Arkansas visit. So we were moving pretty fast at that time. Huh?
He stopped in Fayetteville.
He was there. He was flying home. We stopped him in Chicago and got him on the trip to Lincoln.
What was his reaction to that?
He was ready to go. Yeah. He was ready to go, and we just worked out all the plans for it. He was down here, and he was going to go home in the morning. I asked him to stay till the evening, and we talked some more football. It was good.
To have those kind of resources to kind of make these calls and throw this kind of money down, how much different is this for you in your coaching career to be able to just pay top money and get a
Well-
coordinator like Bob Diaco.
We really appreciate the support of the department. Sean stepped up on this one big time, and when we explained the research that we had done and the qualities this guy brings, and as you guys know, the landscape out there for these top coordinators is pretty interesting right now. So it's kind of what you are going to need to do, but as usual, they've stepped up and did it. Sean did a great job.
How do you weigh, with how quickly you move to maybe waiting till after, recruiting is over with, and then, in kind of a show of maybe a little more stability type of a deal?
In some ways, I think that those are obvious thoughts, and in other ways, it's almost, to me, in the end, at this position in particular, the coordinator, I just wanted to get the very best coordinator, and we would adjust with the recruiting, and I think that we've done that actually fine to this point.
Have you had a chance to talk to Mark since?
I have not. I intend to for sure, but I have not since that time.
I don't know if you've read the reports, but he was ticked off that he was fired over the phone.
No, I understand that, and like I said in there, I can understand why he is. That is not the way I would have liked to have done it. Like I said, I ran into a logistical problem that I think you guys probably can figure it out. Just the timing of everything. To get done what we did, I had to do it.
He said he was going to be coaching linebackers. Is Bray still coaching linebackers?
Yes, but we haven't figured out the details. I think he did a great job of explaining how that would work.
Yeah.
And I think that Bob, the other thing he alluded to, and I think it will be really important that he does this, there will be large group meetings to start with. He'll have the whole defense, because there'll be some philosophical things that I think, like he explained to me in the interview, that will be great teaching tools for the kids' understanding of the big picture. I think this guy is really a good, detailed 1, 2, 3, 4 teacher, and I think so. He'll have the big groups. He'll have to get everything set in place to have a productive spring practice that we can grow on in the fall.
Will the other hire be in the secondary then on defense when you look at the other spot you need to fill?
Right now, that is my intention, that would be a safety's
Okay.
position.
You've had some roster things I wanted to ask you about. First, you've had some new signees, so Keyshawn, Tristan, Avery,
Yeah.
and Brock.
Yeah.
And then you have a walk-on quarterback that you guys have added.
Yes. Andrew is a junior college quarterback that when we approached him about being here, we did some film study on who could that guy be, because we ran into, as you know, at the end, some issues with the depth at that position. So, we wanted to add a walk-on quarterback, and so he was actually the first guy we reached out to, and I think it'll be good for our depth, and I think that room is just the right size. I don't want it any bigger, but as we found out, we can't have it any smaller either.
Zach
about
moves
the-
back to quarterback or running. Or
What's that?
Zach will be receiver again.
I'm very interested in having a package that Zach has offensively, so that when we get to it next year, and he can be, if he is indeed our holder again, play some other roles on special teams, that he could be that guy that could go in, and we start right in spring. This is his package, because he can do some stuff. Some of the zone read stuff that we've now been doing for 2 years, we can continue to do
Kind
that
of like
with
how
him.
Indiana had that change of
Yeah,
pace guy that came
yeah,
in.
absolutely. And then you could have a guy that could legitimately finish a game and give you a chance.
What do you think of those 4 freshmen that have already enrolled?
I'm excited about the guys that are here. I think they're kind of the foundation of the signing day. I think that they're great kids. They've obviously done a nice job getting to be where they are today as far as signing early and being in here early. I think that's all really positive, and I'm thankful that they're here. I think there's some real leadership qualities in that group, and it'll be good for them to be here school-wise and obviously, for our football.
Mike, Coach Bob said that he was looking forward to your vision and fulfilling your vision. What kind of characteristics or vision do you have for this defense? Maybe years from now we can say Nebraska hangs its hat on what?
Well, I think that the Bob philosophically matches exactly, I think, our top needs to make this get better and better, and that's really a detailed part of the teaching of what you do, how you play the game within the defense, and then the idea that, this is all about not giving up points, and his defenses have been great that way and big plays. And so as we start to talk philosophically, and then you can look at it, what it should look like, you're talking about a real sound, disciplined unit that doesn't give up points.
Was he the top guy on your list? Was he the guy that you wanted to go out and get?
As we looked and started to, be able to separate as this thing went forward, he became that fast.
It's, you didn't want him to leave the building when you were
No,
recruiting.
no. We didn't, as a matter of fact. It was all done while he was here.
Did it get into a bidding war with Arkansas a little bit?
I
or
do
did-
not know if Arkansas was on the other line.
But was there a sense of, we need to keep this guy here?
Yeah. After we interviewed him, Sam, it was really neat. I thought that it became very apparent to me. I just think that like the combination, very intriguing to see the resume and then to listen to this guy talk about defense. It became pretty apparent to me this was the guy.
Hey, Mike,
we didn't want him to leave.
seeing the success that Wisconsin's had with the 3-4 the
Yeah.
last 2 years, did that get the ball rolling even more in your mind?
It really was way before that for me. I like I mentioned earlier, I started out in this world when I was coaching defense in the 3-4. I actually wanted to do it when we first went to Oregon State. Didn't know personnel-wise if it fit, and so we never did get into what I first had a vision of with our defense at that time. But I'm excited to do it now.
You alluded to it earlier a little bit, but making tough decisions is part of the deal. This is why you're the head coach. But how hard has this last couple of weeks been for you?
Yeah, it's no fun, because it's, our relationship went back so far, and like I said, I've appreciated that, the relationship and the coaching, and it was never with Mark was it ever about the effort and the detail and the work that he did. That was always unquestioned. As I said, and looked at this team and evaluated our first 2 years here, I think it was time to change for the reasons I already gave.
Just maybe do 1 or 2 more guys.
Mike, any other roster additions or subtractions that we know?
Football player roster?
Right.
Yeah. Right now, I think that you guys know about the midterm guys, the mid-year guys that are in here. I don't think that there's anything right now on the horizon with anybody else new. And then, of course, we'll add the coach as we get closer. And then there's possibility, and I think the very, very good possibility of the 10th coach in April.
Will you look to promote within on that 10th spot, or is that something that you could open the checkbook and really try to hire another big-time name in here?
Well, I think that we'll do both. We sure have good people here right now, and it gives us a little flexibility to examine what's going to be best to do, which is what we've tried to do from the very beginning, even making those choices that you have to make that are so hard.
Yeah, there'll be 120 jobs opening, and what could that be like in the coaching world?
I think it's awesome, and I think it makes sense in football. When you look at the student-teacher ratio, if you want to do that, and you compare with other sports, this is a necessary deal because, we are responsible for mentoring, following, counseling, and keeping a track of all these players. And having one more full-time guy that can do that is really good. And the other thing is to have one more full-time guy that can go on the road and help you get your next team. I think this move is a good one.
And Mike, you mentioned the ability to go get athletes, but is finding a nose tackle in this defense a little bit more of a unique challenge than what you had before?
Well, we actually called a guy a nose tackle or defensive, the kind of the one technique in the 4-3. But yes, I think that probably kind of a unique guy in a way. So it'll change the recruiting part of it a little bit.
Does your current roster fit the 3-4 much, Mike?
I think it does. I think that when you look at the picture, and I've been doing it for a while, I think there'll be guys that can fit into those roles as outside linebackers that you may not suspect right now.
Who would be the nose today, right now?
I don't know. I think maybe Carlos or Mick, maybe, something like that.
Why was Mark hesitant to go to a 3-4?
Well, I think the 4-3 is what Mark knew, and he'd coached for a long time, and so guys, I mean that's his comfort zone, and that's a good thing for him.
You don't see in the profession many guys going back and forth, do you?
No.
I mean, is it generally you're a 3-4 or you're a 4-3
Yeah,
guy?
I think generally that's what you do base-wise. Now, I think, as Bob said, there are going to be times when you look out there and we're in an even front. If it's a sub defense and you're going nickel, and and it's interesting to hear the evolution of his philosophy coming from the 4-2-5 to the 3-4 and some of the similarities. So those things are all good in variety. And I know when I used to coach at Linfield College in the 5-2, we'd kick a guy down, have an even front, do all the even stuff that we wanted to, and move him back out, and then the guy could drop. There's issues there in the protection and the blocking schemes that the offense has to deal with. So, all right,
Thanks very much, Coach
good to
Riley.
see everybody.